not even with speaking on what you're able to take in visually. How many people have, which is something I'm going to be speaking about in my book I got coming up called Out of the Darkness, right? It'll be here soon. But I speak on the visual versus the visceral or the visceral. How many people can feel in their essence that something has shifted, something has changed? I'm not talking about just on the grand scheme of the music industry, which I spoke about a lot. I told people what was going to happen with that, and we could look at it and see that that has shifted. Yeah, that's major. That's one of the most major things when we can look around and see that something that was not too long ago was just strong and beating on the communities, the drill music, that shit is falling off. All right, it's not as powerful as it was. How many people can see that? How many people can also see that more and more people are stepping out and calling out these satanic beings? More and more people are calling out and stepping out against not just the industry, but any of the celebrities, the companies, the projects, whatever, the governments, the people that support the satanic agendas or the Baphomet agendas or the dark agendas, however you want to, speak on it. More people are coming out. There's a grand awakening of people that are saying it's time up for Shaitan's rule. It's time up for the opposition's rule. And when I say that now, since we say out of the darkness, for those of you who had the How to Love Again book, we coming out of that darkness. If we coming out of that darkness, then it must mean we're entering into something else. And we had already entered it. This is what people got to understand. At one point, we had already entered into the light. This was right before I was born, with that explosion after the seventh seal was opened in 1970, Malachi York. The explosion took place of consciousness, and more people started to come around. More and more people were saying, you know what? Let me see what this is about. Let me see if I can break this ghost spell. Let me see if I can disconnect myself from this spiritual woo-woo, voodoo type shit and put myself back in alignment with the sciences that we used to have, for real. Even if you're speaking on, not just to say the word, but even if you're speaking on voodoo, what was the sciences to that? When you were saying Christianity, what was the sciences to that? To every type of concept, ideology, or religion, there was an explosion that came through that right knowledge that activated what became the time of Ray. And I'll get into that. But I say time of Ray, the golden ages did return. We did wake up. We did see an explosion of consciousness where more people were able to figure out where we were, what was the time, what was happening, what prophecies were going to come through. We even were figuring out the differences between our calendar, which was the calendar that our ancestors was going based off of, from the Mayas to the ancient Egyptians. That was the 19 by 19 bead calendar. We figured out the difference between that, or that there was a difference between that calendar and the calendar is called the Gregorian calendar, which is the one that most of the world is going based off of. And we figured out that when we were having certain messages coming through, that one side was going to think, especially the ones who were watching all of the writings and watching all of the teachings, they were going to think that this was meaning this date and this time specifically, which there was an alignment that was set up for people to see that date, think that. But if you had the behind the scene teachings, you would know how to compare that date to the actual time period that your ancestors would have been speaking about when they said that date. You understand? And that was another thing that was hitting them, because there were things that would land on certain dates according to the Gregorian calendar, and there were certain things that wouldn't land on those dates, but it would be right around the same time period. Like, okay, for instance, when Malachi was speaking about a earthquake at one point in time, a major earthquake that was going to hit, right? This was a while back, almost 40, 50 years ago. And the people that was around, like the Sunnis and other people, saying that's not going to happen. And it didn't happen when they thought it was going to happen. And at that date, they were saying, see, it didn't happen. And 6 months later, that exactly where he shot, it was California, got hit with that earthquake. You understand? So they weren't on cue about every time period or every message that was coming through. They didn't understand all of those things. But if we were walking, which we were, you knew what time period was what. So the golden ages came. That was Tom Ray. That was what happened in Edenton, Georgia. That was the golden ages. People being able to see in real time that Horus had returned. The school of Horus had literally returned. When you used to fly over, when them helicopters would fly over Tamaray, what they were really flying over was a message, just like the geoglyphs that they put in Nazca, Peru. It was a message that said, this is the school of Hera. This is the school of Heru, Horus, or the god of the sky. And this school says it's the time for the light again. It's the time for Ra to return. So when you see Tamaray, even people say Egypt of the West, or how you got people talking about Tamerica now. When you hear people say Tamerica, what they really said is Tamaray. They put it in the cub there, Tamerica, but it's saying Tamaray, the same name that Malachi named that place, that landmass called the compound now. It was Tamaray, but when you're saying it phonetically, you can hear time of Ray. What time is it? It's the time of Ray. All right? And when that time of Ray arrays or lines up, that's when you're able to see all these new doors open up. New schools of thought open up. The return of the ancient language called Nuwapu. And when you say Nuwabu or Nuwapu, you were filling in spaces, but it was hiding a key term. And that key term was gold. The ancient Egyptian word Nub was gold. You understand? So when we said Nuwabu or Nuwapu, that language was coming through to explain to people, yes, the golden ages have returned. And there hasn't been an explosion like that one since that time period, which has started in 1970 all the way up to the year 2000. Right after I was born, I was 2 years old. Okay, when that year 2000 hit, after 1999, December 31st, 1159. You understand? When people were trying to figure out what will we do with our computers, our computers are going to read that we have 6,000 years, and these 6,000 years are up. Our computers are going to read, and that's when they employed the Bill Gates and the rest of these people to come in, these beings to come in and step in and achieve another window, where they came in with the Windows computer, okay, in 85. And for the next 15 years, they were working on that window, which Windows 2000 came in, all right, which was supposed to seal that and say, yes, we need more time, and we're going to have more time. And in 2019, the year 2019 that just passed, that Windows 2000 went out, which that 2019 is a message within itself, because 2019 is the 19 that I'm always speaking to you about. And 2019 is also the 400th year, which was the last piece of time period that they had in their age of darkness to be rulers. And they were ruling in the West, just like we were saying, ancient prophecy, that these things would happen. You understand? So now what happens? Okay, their time has come up. Their rule is up. Their rulership is falling. Pylon or Babylon is falling. It's falling. Why? Because she made the world drink of the wine of her fornication. Okay, so the world became drunk with her porne. Not porne just alone, but porne, fornication, pornography. The ways of the harlot have made the whole world drunk. They're not talking about just the West when they were saying that. They're not talking about, just over there in Africa when they're saying that. They're saying all of the world became drunk, okay? Or the whole of that time period, which we'll get into too. Because when I say world, I'm not speaking about just this planet or just the establishment. I'm speaking of a time period or eon, okay? So their world is up. Their world is falling. And all you have to do is look around and you can see that. And what it reads as is Satan versus God, so that you can identify it. It's not meaning that the reality is set to just mean these two words, that you got to only look at it from Satan or God. No, their words, Satan and God, are there. These words are there so that you can look at it and tell when certain things are happening. All right. So what am I saying? The time of Ray already came. Malachi, okay, which they have a book in the Bible called Malachi, the book of Malachi, which breaks down a lot of things, explaining as soon as you start reading it, this is the divine revelation. Okay, that book of Malachi breaks down and explains what? That now is the time. The divine revelation is here. You get to know the difference between the ones who've been favored, the ones who haven't been favored. You get to receive the message. All right. And that's why I explained to you that as Malachi came and gave that message and did his job, he was also explaining that he was not, like I put in the album, all right, Blood of the Lamb album, which y'all will hear soon. Okay. He was not saying he was the Messiah, which a lot of people were trying to say that he did. He wasn't saying he was saying he's the Messiah, but he was saying that he was the voice crying out in the wilderness. And if you know anything about the stories, the voice crying out in the wilderness, or John the Baptist, the returned Elijah that didn't even know he was the returned Elijah, that voice crying out in the wilderness is the voice that sets the tone, okay, or sets the record straight. Setting the tone, that record becomes straight, and now the tone can play, all right? And then the Messiah comes. Then that one will be called the Savior comes. Who is that? It's still to be announced, still to be determined. All right, cool. So up to this point, This was what I was uttering. Let me see if it shows me the date on here. I don't think it shows me the date on here. Somebody could go and look at the date and get back to me with it if you can see it. But I don't think I can see the date on here. But this was back in either January or February of this year. It was a recap originally set to go back over the things that I said were coming in the year 2023. Because I was teaching all of this back in 2022 about the year 2023. Right? So I'm not somebody who just speaks on current events. If you walk with me, you will be able to catch these streams that come through where I will say something is coming and I will tell you when it's coming. And then when it comes, I'll play these old tapes of mine to say, all right, see how I said that right there? Didn't that come through? See how I said that was going to be that? Didn't that come through? You understand? Because there's a lot of things going on. You have to pay attention to how it's moving. Remember, I'm the one who can read it, but I can show you how to read it so you don't got to rely on me. And if you can't read it, I'll still read it for you. Like, why is there or was there any type of conversation surrounding Rico Nasty, Asian Doll, Amaretta, or who was supposed to be the alternative girls, or ALT, or whoever, however, the rock girls, or whoever brought it out the style? Why did that happen? You understand? Why is it that when we're dealing with that type of style to begin with, why is that associated with rock? You understand? Rock music and the goth girls, or you have the Austral goths and all these other the visual goths, whoever the girls, the ones who were coming forth from England up to now, who came forth with the goth school or the goth walk of life. If you were to ask somebody, well, explain that. Listen, this is how you see who's in tune. We're not talking about prophets like you got to tell us on this day, at this date of time. No, we're saying prophets as in, can you speak water? Can you talk in a way that's going to warp around all of these illusions? Can you do that? Can you read around the illusions? Can you do that? Because it appeared on the Shade Room, and I tell you, one of the window seats for me is the Shade Room. Okay? I let you behind that door. If you don't know what a window seat is, go listen to Erykah Badu's song Window Seat, all right? And ponder the fact that the window seat is, if I do some work, what I can also put with that work is I want to see it manifest, so give me a window seat. And that window seat can operate through a person. It can operate through an event. It can operate through a page. It can operate through a song, whatever. Give me a window seat to let me know that what is happening is still in alignment with what I put out. Okay? So ask people, see if they can really break it down to you. Who out here that's out here, whether they be Sabian, Christian, Islam, Muslim, Buddhist, whoever, whatever people are right now, spiritual, conscious leaders, scientists, whatever they want to call themselves, economic people, who can break down what is happening when it happens and explain how they already said it was going to happen? Who can do it? This is where you start separating the bullshit. Why is that a conversation? What's the answer? Why does it come up as to say, who was the first person who brought out this type of style? Who was the first person who brought this forth? Who made the women, the melanin-dominant women, want to start dressing like rock stars and Barbie dolls and Bratz dolls? Well, it takes you back to Lil' Kim, who was the main character of the story when it comes to Jacob York, when he had an issue with his father for not wanting to put money or energy, currency behind Lil' Kim. And I could play you Malachi York speaking on that situation where Jacob York came to him. Jacob York used to be with Biggie Smalls and all these other people. He a big dude in the music industry. If you don't know, you probably ain't studied the industry at all. But he was the Big Papa nigga, the Junior Mafia, all them niggas. He was with them. You understand? Puff Daddy, all them niggas. So Jacob York wanted to bring forth Lil' Kim and put money behind Lil' Kim. And he came to Malachi Zoduk York L. Z York L. He came to Malachi York and asked Malachi for $1 million to put behind Lil' Kim. I can play it for you. He will say it to you. You understand? I can pull it up in a second when I press play on this so I can get time to play it. Right? He said he wanted him to spend $1 million to put behind Lil' Kim. And he said he was not going to do that. Why? Because she represented the harlot. Now, if you find Lil' Kim, before all these people talking about how they dressing now, Rico Nash, all these people, go look at how Lil' Kim was dressing. Like the rock stars. Not just the rock stars, but like the goth girls. Except they knew if they put a little pizzazz in it, all right, put a little sparkle here, put a little dazzle there, then it could integrate over here into the pop and all this other stuff, which is what they did. And then hip hop, which was just a branch off of that anyway. They knew they were going to integrate death metal, heavy metal, all of that into hip hop, which is what they did. Now, when you're listening to drill music, you're basically listening to rock music, which is why even when I told people to do the fast, what did I tell you to abstain from? the drill music and the rock music. They're one and the same. You go listen to anyone from King Von, Youngboy, and then go put on any of the Kiss records, whatever. You're hearing the same frequencies, the same heavy metal. Meaning what? It has a lot of weight. It's not light. All right, and it lacks soul. It's all racket or ratchet music. You understand? So you have people fighting to be new versions of Lil Kim, but they don't even know why Lil Kim's image was Lil Kim's image. Why was it her image? Let me ask you a question, and you can say this by a show of emojis. Remember, I'm not saving this live, so if you get it, you catch it. If you don't, whatever. But then if you were here to hear what I'm about to tell you and speak on, okay, you were here. All right, and then when we come back around times later and we go back over this moment, I'll say, remember when I said this? You understand? Let me ask you a question. Is anybody familiar with Suzy Sue? By a show of emoji, have you ever heard the name Suzy Sue? Suzy Sue. Now, I'm going to say the name again. Suzy Sue. What does it sound like? Suzy Sue. Not only what does it sound like, let's go to Google real quickly and let's look her up. We're going to look her up, and I want you to look at the name. Right? And when you look at the name, I want you to see what you see even in the name. And if you can't pick it up, I don't know what else to tell you, but it's right there. As a matter of fact, it's hidden. So has anybody heard of this being right here? And you're going to know being because when I show you it, you're going to see a being. All right? Is anybody familiar with this person? No, it's not Sukiyana. Suzy Sue. Huh? One of the original orchestrators of the goth movement in music. Let's go to her images. Let's see if we see anything significant about her images. Look at this. Right? Look at the attire. All right? You go research this person. Suzy Sue. Now, if you didn't see it already, I want you to look at the name again. What number is this? 6, 6, 6. But who is this? Who is this Suzy Sue person? Well, she's one of the leaders of the Goths. Right? One of the leaders of the Goths. Now let's look at this word Goths. Goths. Somebody make me a word anagrammatically. Somebody make me a word out of this word Goths. Flip these letters around, somebody, and tell me what words you can find. Somebody do it for me. You have Goths right here. Somebody find me a word in the word Goths. You never play puzzle games? You got to become a decoder. Ghost. 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 I'm telling you what it is. It's ghost. Now, why would I say ghost? Look at this person. Look at these people. Let's look at another group of people that were also representations of the ghosts. Look at these people. These are people who are walking demons. You understand? They call themselves Kiss, which is what? The sound of the snake, Shaitana. And they always did a little hissing shit too, if you remember them. All right? Ghosts, death, rock, Baphomet, darkness. You understand? Now look at these people. Now let's type in Rico Nasty and let's see what happens. You understand? Rock. We didn't originate any of this. Melanin dominant people have nothing to do with this image. It was never your image. You're arguing over somebody's image that never belonged to you. You understand? All this mangled body, BDSM, all that was never you. That came from death metal, the rock artists, all of these devils who were literally coming out as devils. Okay? Now watch this. We have the brass dolls. Remember how they used to have them dressing. All of this is in your subconscious, by the way, which is why when I was growing up, I wouldn't allow my sisters. I don't allow my nieces if I can help it. Of course, it's my sister's children. She can do what she wants. But I don't allow and didn't allow the women who were around me to have breasts or Barbie dolls. Why? Because as you're playing with these beings as children, you're looking at them as the image to be. You understand? But tell me, where is the melanin dominant image? Have you seen it yet? All I see is Caucasians painted brown. And you remember how you would watch all the movies where you'll see the devil come through and there'll be like the Requiem and all this, they'll be in the rave parties and popping the ecstasy pills and doing all this, and the devil was moving through that group of beings? Okay, now this has become the image that people are warring over in hip hop. You understand? Which means what? There was a certain type of spirit moving. So you go look, even if you find, just type in brass dolls and just look at the rock attire that they would even have. All of this type of dress, we didn't come up with any of this. So then you see Lil' Kim. Let's just type in Lil' Kim outfit, see what happens. Look at this. It's not regular attire. It's not something that you would wear to the store. You understand? Like I said, they put their razzle dazzle on it to cross over. But you look at this attire, the wild, weird hairstyles, and Nicki Minaj, who was definitely copying Lil' Kim's image, and you understand? All of that was the same thing, and it didn't come from any melanin dominant images. But if you type in India Ari, you think you're going to see anything like this? Let's try it. Let's try it. India Ari. Look. The same one who was coming and saying, yo, we need to fix this. And they got on her about that. India Ari. They don't want a war over looking like her. They don't want a war over modesty. They don't want to fight about, let's get this together. Let's give them their image back. They don't want to worry about that. They want to say, who can be the best rock star? Who can be the best devil worshiper or live in the image of it? Because that's all them rock stars were put in position for. You understand? You can go anybody, Lauryn Hill, whatever. You go back and you find them images. What is my point? My point is, it still takes you all back around to who? To Susie Sue. And you would find it interesting that after 16 years, guess who's coming back to do concerts this year? Well, guess, just take a wild guess. Guess who after 15 years, 1 plus 5 years, is saying she's going to make a comeback? I don't know. Let's check it out. Susie Sue concert, 2023. Susie Sue confirms first tour in 15 years. Why? Why this year? Why? Why are you coming back this year? After 5 years. You understand? What else is happening this year concerning concerts? What else is happening? Well, you have Travis Scott having a concert in Egypt. right? Let's look at these images. Do you see this? This isn't just Egypt. This is Tamaray. This image right here is Tamaray. This lit up nighttime Egypt image that's popping out, that's Tamaray. As I speak on it, 135 people was in here. Are you with me? Okay, so if that's Tamaray, well, what's the name of the album, Travis? What's the name of the album, Travis? It's called Utopia. Let's see. Utopia. This is 9 hours ago. You can't make it up. You could try. Utopia, Travis Scott album. Utopia is the upcoming 4th studio album by American rapper Travis Scott. It is anticipated to be released through Cactus Jack Records and Epic Records. Okay, so we have Utopia. What is Utopia? I don't know, let's look at it. Definition of Utopia. An imagined place or state of things in which everything is perfect. You understand? An imagined place or state of things in which everything is perfect. Why did I repeat that? Because that is a word that brings you to the word heaven or nirvana. And remember I told you, nirvana meant what? Who remembers? Well, I broke it down for you. Let's see if you remember. So we go nur first. Nur is what? Let's say nur. Type Islam, Arabia. Light. Light. Nur. Remember the word is nirvana. If you had the books, you know this already. Okay? Well, let's type in vana. What does vana mean? Golden. Golden or golden colored. Okay, so what is nirvana? Golden colored light or golden light. So let's type in nirvana as the word it appears as, and let's see the meaning of it. A transcendent state in which there is neither suffering, desire, nor sense of self, and the subject is released from the effects of karma and the cycle of death and rebirth. It represents the final goal of Buddhism, a state of perfect happiness, an ideal or idyllic place. All right, remember that? Okay, what is utopia? An imagined place or state of things in which everything is perfect. Utopia. Nirvana, heaven. Golden light. Remember, golden light. Remember, golden light. Remember, golden light. Nirvana. Nirvana. Nirvana, golden light. Heaven on earth. Tamare. Tamare. They knew. They knew what he did. They knew what it meant. They had perfect understanding about this representing the golden age. The golden age returns or turns back to what? Re, Ra, R-E. If you go look that up, you'll find it. Re, Tama, Re. What does Re mean? Let's ask. Egypt, Re, meaning. What does it mean? The sun. God of the what? The sun. Are you listening? God of the sun. Ra, Re, Re, R-A-Y. If you type in R-A-Y, you'll find that it deals with the sun. Sun what? Rays. All right? Ra or Re is the ancient Egyptian god of the Aten and creator god. Aten. Aten. All right? When people be talking about their Aten, what are they saying? What is the word Aten in Egypt? Well, let's ask. Unique deity, sun god in ancient Egyptian. Sun god. You know what I'm saying? Even if you type in meaning, I'm sure they'll bring you up the solar disk or the god or the sun god. See? Aten. So what does Aten give us then? Aten gives us Atum. Okay? Atum gives us Atum. Atum gives us Atam. Atam anagrammatically gives us what? Tama. Ray. No, nobody broke this down to you because they can't see. They can't see. It wasn't for them to see. So you say Tama, Ray. Okay, well then, break it down further. Could it be broken down any further? If you could find Tama, Ray, and that Ra would have been the sunlight? Well, what would happen if I say Atum, Ray? What is the meaning? Atum, Ray is the creator, sun god. Right? Now watch this. What if I say, okay, I have Atum. What happens if I go Amun? Amun Ra. You just have Atum, Amun. All you're doing is flipping around the letters. Atum, Amun, Anun, Aten, Amun-Ra. What does it mean then? Sun god. Okay, so if Amun-Ra means sun god, well, if you stop there, you wouldn't get the message. What happens when you break the words down further? Amun. Invisible, or the hidden one. You wasn't supposed to know yet. It wasn't time. The hidden one. So Amun means the hidden one. So Amun-Ra would have mean what? Okay, so let's say what Ra means in Egypt. The sun, or light, or power, heaven, kingship, sun, rays. Okay, so what does Amun-Ra mean? Amun-Ra would mean the hidden light. Okay, so let's bring it back to Tama. Tama, Ray. What happens if we flip this round anagrammatically? We get Ma'at. Ma'at Ray. Okay? What does Ma'at mean? Well, let's ask. Of truth or justice. So what has been hidden? The truth. And what had to be brought to the light? The truth. So what do we mean by that? Well, let's ask Revelation chapter 10. Are you with me? Verse 7. Okay? Revelation 10, 7. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, messenger, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery. Are you with me? Because you have his story, but do you have my story? They won't even let me tell my story, will they? Mystery. Are you with me? The mystery of God should be complete or perfected, perfect, finished, as he have declared to his servants, the prophets. So the mystery of God should be finished in this day and time. So before this day and time, was it ever finished? No. But now, whatever this mystery is, it has to be complete or perfected. So why would I say complete or perfected? Because we said perfect for us our light. You find this in the Quran, the Corona, the sun. Our Lord, perfect for us our light, and forgive us. Indeed, you are over all things competent. O you who believe, turn to Allah with a faithful repentance. The source. The source. Now, there's a false light and there's a true light. So somebody has to be able to look at this and say, I can tell you what the true light is. Now, what happens if we look at this word and nobody can break it down? What happens when nobody can come forth and say, I can tell you what this is. I can tell you what they're referring to. Perfect for us our light. Forgive us. Indeed, you are over all things competent, meaning you have the power over all things. O you who believe, mu'min, mu'minun, mu'min. Turn to Allah Ta'ala, meaning higher than what you even think is high. Even if they say 93 million miles away. Can you even just put your mind around that? The Most High is higher than what you think you can say high is. Okay? That's what Allah Ta'ala would mean, or Ta'ala, with a faithful repentance. Okay, so then how will the judgment occur? Remember, the true light versus the false light. So there's a light that's been hidden, and there's a light that's been revealed. So remember, we just went through all of the Tama Ray, and I told you it's the Tama Ray. Say it. Tama Ray. Time of Ray. Time of Ra. Time of Ray. Time of the sun. All right? What is the time of the ray or the time of the sun where the sun is at the highest point. What do you call it? At noon. Well, what happens if I say at noon? At noon. Well, what if I just say atun? I'm saying atun. Well, let's try it then, because they don't think atun would be the word. Well, what is atun? Aten. So, let me ask you a question. Are you paying attention? Are you remembering your son? People say, it's hot, it's hot. I said, it's not hot. The ground is hot. But it's not hot out here. You understand? It's not hot to me. Because anybody who's been walking with me, you probably can feel this. You can't explain it to somebody. They be like, nigga, what you mean it's not hot? Why are you not sweating? Well, we've been going faster. We've been fasting. What did we say? Hold fast to the rope. Watch this. Of Allah. Listen. Hold fast to the rope or God's rope, Allah. All together. Do it collectively. And do not split into factions. Remember, become a member of Ra again, or Ray, the light. God's favor to you. You were enemies, and then he brought your hearts together. You know what I'm saying? Go read that, and you will find it. Hold fast. Are you with me? So watch this. So we have at noon being 12 noon, okay? Or the highest point, where the sun is highest in the sky. What is the word we're looking for then? We're looking for a very specific word. It's called Iliyin. Islam, you'll find it. Iliyin. Heaven or upper world, supreme, or the most high, the highest point. Okay? So if Iliyin is the highest point, well, let's try Iliyun. Iliyun. Islam. Same word. All right? Well, they would like you to believe that Malachi made up the word Iliyun. They would like you to believe that. They would like you to believe that he made up the 19 as far as the 19th upper world or supreme places above Jannah, which have been the galaxies. They would like you to believe that, but that's only because you're not linguistically sound. If you don't have any language exposure to 19, you wouldn't know that Iliyun was referring to 19. So watch this. 19, Islam. Okay? The number 19 in the Quran. Where do we find the number 19? Who remembers? Who remembers? Where do we find the number 19 in the Quran? Where is the only place we find the number 19 in the Quran? What chapter was that? Who remembers? If you walk with me, you know the answer. 74th chapter of the Quran, or 74th surah of the Quran. And what we find? The covered, or the cloaked one. And if you type in 74th surah of Quran and type in hidden secret, okay, what will you find? That's the hidden secret. The name of this chapter is saying hidden secret, the Quran. So inside of the hidden secret of the Quran is the only time you'll find that number 19. Okay, starting with it, what do we say? Come out and warn. Extol your Lord. Who is this Lord that we're talking about? What is this Lord that we're talking about? Can anybody tell me? Well, let's see. Let's go to 75th chapter of the Quran. All right? What does this mean? Qiyamah. Yom Qiyamah will be the day of, or the period of resurrection. Ra. Resurrection. Or the rising of the dead. I actually want to go to that really quick. Let's get it. Let's go to the 75th chapter of the Quran. All right. Where is it? Qiyamah. There's another thing we're going to be reading the Quran on here, so you got to be prepared for that. Let's go to Qiyamah. All right. I do swear by the day of judgment, which will be Yamuddin, by the way. And I do swear by the self-reproaching soul. Pay attention to this. This is going to mean something. Self-reproaching soul. Do people think we cannot reassemble their bones? Who is this we that we're talking about? Well, you will be referring to the heavenly hosts, all of those who would have been with the Malaika,
or Jibreel, Gabriel, the heavenly hosts are the ones speaking in the Quran, which you find Allah to be actually plural or pluralized, or the Elohuma, which brings you, if you say Elohuma, right, what are you actually saying? Even if you say Elohuma Barik, or what are you saying? Elohuma, Elohim, Elohuma, Elohim, Elo. All right, watch. Do people think we? It's not saying do you people think I, we, plural in the Quran. All through the Quran, they're talking in terms of plural, all right, or plurality. Do people think we cannot resemble their bones? Yes, indeed, we are most capable of restoring, even their very fingertips. Still, people want to deny what is yet to come, asking mockingly, when is the day of judgment? They're mocking. But when the sight is stunned and the moon is dimmed, listen, when the moon is dimmed and the sight is stunned, are you with me? And the sun and the moon are brought together. Let me ask you a question. Have you looked up in the sky lately? What do I mean by lately? Not lately as in today, not lately as in this week. I'm saying lately as in the last 10 years. Have you looked up in the sky and seen that the sun and the moon are in the sky together? Now, regardless of what these people want to brainwash you to believe, do you remember when we were growing up and that was not the case? And if they don't want you to think that you actually grew up and that you just popped up here today, can't you go back in history and read stories, allegories, messages, scrolls, where you had it be that the night had one light, which was a lesser light, and the day had a greater light, which was the sun. They weren't together. They were separated. If we ask Genesis about the sun and the moon and what day would be day and what night would be night, what would they say? They separated them. But right here in the Quran, chapter 75, verse 9, what does it say? And the sun and the moon are brought together, which means at this point, it had yet to occur. The sun and the moon were not brought together in that day and time. Now, what will cause the sun and the moon to be brought together? There's a few things that will happen. All right? And it has something to do with the shifting of polarity. The same thing where you're referring to the tasfir to say that there would come a time where what would happen? The sun would be rising in the west. Okay? Which is what they're looking for now. They're looking out for it now. You can actually research what I'm telling you, because this would be something that if you didn't have any information on science and how certain pole shifts would occur on the planet, okay, or any type of information about the pole shift, which the last one would have been what? 780,000 some odd years ago, according to science, which means it's overdue because it's normally between 300,000 to 500,000 years that it happens, normally. But we're overdue is what they would explain to you if you research this even a few seconds. You understand? So it's not the second sun. It's to say that if the North and the South Pole were to shift, your east would no longer be east. And your west would no longer be west. So what would happen? Your west becomes east and your east becomes west. Now, what is a sacred that most Masons probably don't even know as travelers? That if you're traveling to the east, what direction are you traveling in? That sounds like a trick question, doesn't it? If you're traveling to the east, what direction would you be traveling in? Well, if you're dealing with a globe or a sphere or a ball, I wish I could have one to show you some type of model or diagram. But if you're dealing with a ball, all right, and let's say you're going from one point all the way around, or you're circumambulation or circumnavigating the globe, you're traveling west. As you travel east, you go closer or get closer with every step to where you started, and you do a what? 360 for me. And people will be, well, 360 doesn't make me make a change. What you don't understand is on that journey, you will change. You understand? If you walk, listen, if you take a step outside of your house and you start walking and you circumnavigate the globe and you catch a boat, whatever you have to do to get all the way back around to the point that you began, you will have lost weight. You would have learned something new. You would have met some people. You will not be the same person. So when I said 360 for me, hey, put this crown on, what am I saying? Look to your left. Let me say, well, east is in that direction. Well, remember I taught you about walking through the mirror. You understand? Now put yourself in my position, literally trade places with me in this phone of this image that you see. Okay? My right hand will be the east. Are you with me? So what does it say? Let's go back to it. Stay with me now. And the sun and the moon are brought together. On that day, one will cry, where is the escape? I'm planning my escape. I can't stay. But no, there will be refuge. Or excuse me, no refuge. On that day, all will end up before your Lord. People still don't know who this is referring to or what this is referring to. We're going to find out. All then will be informed of what they have sent forth and left behind. In fact, people will testify against their own souls, despite the excuses they come up with. Do not rush your tongue trying to memorize a revelation of the Quran. It is certainly upon us to make you memorize and recite it. So once we have recited a revelation through Jibreel, who is Gabriel, follow its recitation closely. Okay? If you go listen to the Blood of the Lamb, everybody that's on here, take this note. Go listen to the Blood of the Lamb album. Not so you can stream Faise, trust me. Go listen to the Blood of the Lamb album, family, and listen closely. And take notes of what I'm saying in that album. It's not just an album, it's like a book. That if you listen close enough, you'll hear prophecy, you'll hear the warnings, you'll hear the messages, you'll hear the good news, you'll hear a lot of things. Okay? But one of the songs is saying, show me the way. Patarak, show me the way. Give me the path and I'll follow completely. Won't let Diablo to see me speaking in code. Make it harder to read me. The Heavenly Father just lead me. I play by my rules here. I played all my dues. Whatever. One of them. I know I played my dues or something. I did something to the dues. But if you go listen to it, you'll hear what I did to the dues and shit. But listen. Show me the way is the name of the song. You understand? Patarak. Watch. Follow its recitation closely. Give me the path and I'll follow completely. You understand? Then it is surely upon us to make it clear to you. Are you with me? But no, in fact, you love this fleeting world. What is this fleeting world that they're talking about? Look to the right. The moon. You see that bed right there? If I say the word bed in Hebrew, what am I saying? I'm saying slaves. Or enslavement or captivity. Go look it up. Don't take my matter of fact, you right here with me. We can look it up together. What is, if I say bad or BD, you think that ED is there, but it's really not. Okay, and I'll show you why in a second. But you say bad, slave, servant. Okay? Now let's take these E's out. If that wasn't enough. Okay? I say H, where's that? Service. Okay? I'm looking for the actual one. It probably has to be brought back around. The closest you probably get is service. Or the work of a slave. Well, it's the same thing. Slave, servant, or steward. Alright? So bed. Remember when people say, yo, that looks like the bed. So when you see this bed right here in this symbol, all right, this is the emoji representing slavery or mental captivity, which is conscious enslavement. All right, where people are held seemingly against their will, even though their willpower or activating themselves or reproaching themselves or their own soul is what will pull them up out of hell. Are you with me? Remember I told you, remember where it's being spoken of in the Quran, chapter 75. Where is it at? What does it say? And I do swear by the self-reproaching soul. Self-reproaching. Are you with me? Why is this important? Because also in the Quran we said what? Until mankind corrects what is within themselves. All right? Let's say Quran. Let's see what they pull up. Let's see. What is that? 10:13. What is it? 11:13. What was it? We got 53. No, that's not it. Surely Allah does not change what is in the people until they change what is within themselves. Another translation you will get will says they won't fix the condition of your world until you change what is within yourselves. Are you with me? Self-reproaching. Let's ask Travis again. What was the name of your album, Travis? Why is Utopia the name of your album? Well, we broke down heaven. We broke down Nirvana. We broke down the golden light, the golden pathway, the Wizard of Oz. We broke down all of that. Okay? All right. Who can break down Utopia to explain to me how I can find myself in it and how I can connect it to the 75th surah of the Quran, where it explains, I even speak for sake of the self-reproaching soul, or the one who can fix themselves or correct what is within themselves. Utopia. Well, I'll show you. Take this word, Uto, and put the A here, auto. What is the etymology? Let's say self, autos. Self, nefsa, self, auto, auto. All right, cool. We got auto, we got Uto. What about Pia? Well, we're gonna find it. Pia. The name Pia. Okay, reverend. Well, here goes our friend that can help us. Pio. Let's take Pio, or Pios, or Pious, and what happens? We get the word purify or cleanse. So when you say Utopia, you're saying auto pious. All right? Meaning cleansing the self. Are you with me? So how do you get to heaven? How do you get to Utopia? You have to cleanse the self. You have to cleanse yourself. And how do you do that? Because you have to move from one state, which is slower or more dense, and you have to go into a less dense state, which means you have to move faster. You understand? You have to move faster. You have to speed up the quickening, or you have to hold fast. All right? So who is this Allah? Faise, we done went over all this other shit. Who is Allah? What is this Allah that we speaking about? Well, what song of mine is reaching all over the world right now? Okay, what I mean by reaching all over the world, meaning is literally reaching different places in the world and spreading out. All right, my Umi posted a video up on Facebook. In about 2 days, it got like 1 million some odd views, and she left a comment, and she asked, she said, let us know where you from. Let us know where you coming from with this. Where are y'all at? Where is everybody at? People all over in England, people all over in China, Africa. People are all over the world, and everybody has the same response to this particular song called Source, which now is at 164,000. It was 160,000 when I was getting on here, but 164,000 people of the song Source. The same picture that's been the picture for Phase One. All right. So what is the beginning of this song? What is it saying?
We ain't going back and forth about a duck. We ain't going back and forth about a duck. You know what I'm saying? On time. Yeah. Can't even clear my throat this beat, you know what I'm saying? Oh, you can't beef with me, holding the frequency. Bitch, what the fuck is a mug? Nigga be fake, whoa, leave him snuggly. He undercover, and fucking we talking a minute. It's all in this stuff, nigga, fucking you saying. Bird, bitch, get struck. We ain't going back and forth about a duck. We ain't going back and forth about a duck. Watch, halu ella ilaha illallah. We come in the name of the source. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We flipping niggas out the porch. Niggas in bed. Somebody.
And people are like, yo, what is this man saying? What is he saying? Now, if you know Arabic, you know what I'm saying. Even if you don't know Arabic fluently, if you are a Muslim, you better know what the hell I'm saying if you're a Muslim. Because that's the first thing if you knew no Arabic, that's the first thing you would have had to say or utter or confess before you even became a traveler of Islam. You understand? So that's what you call taking shahada. All right? But what is the shahada? There is no deity or anybody to be worshipped but this source. Okay? Which will be what? Allah. Now, why could this be tricky? Because you're dealing with the true light versus the false light. Now, I'm going to show you why it could be tricky. Because the same Pharaoh called Pharaoh Aten is the one who is accredited, all right? It's Pharaoh Ak and Aten, all right, in history. He's accredited to being the original establisher of something called monotheism. What is monotheism? Well, mono meaning what? One God. Stay with me. Mono, one. God. Okay? So what did Pharaoh Akhenaten say? Never forget who? Aten. Or the sun. But they accredit him to being what? The one who established monotheism. All right? Mono. Well, let's see if we can tie this word around. Mono. Alone, one. Let's see, let's find it. Or is it the mammon? I got you. I'm going to figure it out. Because I know I have it. Mammon. Money. All right? One cannot serve two masters. Stay with me. All right? Because he will love one or hate the other. So you have mammon. So what happens when we say mono? Mono. Flip it around. Anagrammatically. All you got to do is say mono, moon. Stay with me. This is going to make sense. Moon, mono. All right? So mammon. Allah. Anu is God. Okay? So if you're tuning in, you'll be able to say, man, I can flip these letters around and find out what is hidden here. If I say Illah, it's not Allah, it's Illah. Okay? Let's try Illah. All right? What happens if I flip these letters around? Because you just helped me if you say it's not Allah, it's Illah. Okay, well, that's even better. Hilal means forbidden. All right? Now, watch this. Hilal, crescent. Crescent moon. All right? Let's see, if we type in meaning, it'll give you the meaning. Hilal, all right? In Arabia, a crescent. The crescent moon. Visible after a new moon, determining the beginning of a month in the Islamic calendar. Okay, so Hilal means forbidden. Hilal also means moon. Hilal is an actual being or god of the moon. Hilal. All right, I want to see if I can find any type of commonality between Hilal as in meaning the moon and the Islamic symbol or emblem. I just want to see. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But I think if I look this up, I might find not only the five-pointed star of Hilal, who is Baphomet, but I also will find the crescent moon. All right? Meaning something here is off. Because if this is just a star, it should not be in front of the moon. You know, when we're dealing with a crescent moon, this is not the moon itself. This is only a certain type of light being shown. So this dark area is actually the lit area. Are you with me? Look at the image. There you go, the lit area. As a child, you might have thought that that was the actual shape of the moon, but it's not the shape of the moon. It's only what is being shown. So, okay, this is not the moon. This is the moon. The whole circle is the moon. So how is the star facing us? How is the star on this side of the moon? Do you understand? No, that is a very specific person's star. And that star is referred to as the pentagram, okay, belonging to Baphomet. Now, if I made that up, let's see if we can find Baphomet moons. To see if Baphomet is tied to the crescent or Hilal. Let's just see. Well, what I see is moons. Crescent moons. And I see the five-pointed star. So it's all about light. Baphomet is about light. He is about light. Which light? Which light is he about? The lesser light. All right? Or the light of the moon. Okay? The moon. That's who. You see his symbol right here? Look closely. To the right. The Knights Templar double cross symbol. Okay? The moon. So the lesser light is Baphomet. All right? And he's associated with the moons. If I were making it up, you wouldn't see it here on this screen. I'm not making this up. When have you ever seen the sun look like this? No. They'll say, oh, it's duality. It's only half of the sun, half of the moon. No, that's cap. Both of them are moons. Both of them are crescent moons. And if you put these two together, you will not get a full moon. No matter how you try. If you put these two images together, that will not be, it will still be incomplete. All right? Now look, somebody said Lilith is his wife. What does Lilith mean? Well, let's ask. What does Lilith mean? Which light is Lilith representing? Let's say Lilith meaning. Ghost. All right? And what did I tell you earlier? Susie Sue, who is one of the leaders of the Goth movement. Goths. What happens if you flip the word Goths around? You get ghost. Night monster. All right? Or of the night. So what is the light of the night? The moon. All right? So you see Lilith, right? This is Lilith. Lilith just doing her thing. Okay? And if you go type in Susie Sue, you will see Lilith. The same image. The same dark image of the night. Okay? But why is that important? Because it ties to Sophia. Lilith, Sophia. All of these people are of the lesser light in the demiurge world. Those who fail. You understand? So if you go to this lesser light, you will still have information, but you won't have what is referred to in the biblical scriptures as the true light. Let's go to chapter John, the book of John. What's the number here? John 1:9. If you already noticed, we got my books. All right, and I highlighted the significance of that. The true light, the one who is the true light, who gives light to everyone, was coming into the world. Well, what happened? He was in the world, and the world was made through him. The world did not recognize him. You go to, they say, knew him not. All right, he was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. King James Version. Okay, so what is the point here? There is a light. There's a type of information that is here, but it's being what? Amun-Ra, hidden from you. Amen, amen. What do the Masons say? So mote it be. But they forgetting, what is mote? Well, let's look at it. Mote, dust. Okay? Now, what else? Atom, which would be Etom, if you flip this around. Etom, or Edom, or the ground, or the dust. But they forget that we said what? And I know you forget because this ain't your shit, but it's mine. Genesis 2:7. And the Lord God formed man of the mote, the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of Hayah, life, Shu. And man became a living soul. So what did he become? Or what was he on the verge of becoming? Or what was he planned or programmed to become? A living soul, or Eve. So when you say so mote it be, so mote it be. You're saying from the dirt, the dust, mote, it became a living soul. Out of the darkness, which is this part, into the light, which just so happens to be Genesis 2:7. 2 plus 7 is 9. Perfect for us our light. Bring us from the 1 into the 9. John 1:9. Show us the way to the true light. But not everybody gonna find that way. What do they say? A lot of people at the bottom of the pyramid, if you got the Out of the Darkness book, a lot of people at the bottom of the pyramid, okay, they won't find their way. Okay, because it's straight and narrow is the gate of what? Life, or Eve. Okay? All right, so we found out that there's a Hillel, or a hidden word in the name Allah. Anagrammatically. Hillel. Hillel. Okay, so let's find another word. Heli. What does Heli mean? Or hail. So if I say as a Mason or a traveler, I hail, or I will always, in every direction, perpetually, I will always hail and never, what? Reveal. Somebody duped you. Because to hail means to what? To conceal, to cover, or to hide. Okay? To conceal, and to never reveal. All right? So what is this word here? If we have heli, we have other. So let's find apocalypse. What does apocalypse mean? All right? What is the true meaning of apocalypse? Apocalypse means to pull the lid off something. All right? Remember in the movie Wizard of Oz, where the tortoise or the dog, Toto, which is Totus, go look it up. Toto. That's where they get it from, Totus. Which means what? I dare type it in. I dare type it in while you're here. Totus. It means entire or whole or complete. Complete for us our light. You have the power over all things. What are we talking about? So to become Totus, you have to not be of the what? Lotus. All right? You have to what? Be born again. So when we say lotus, you go from the lotus where you were rebirthed and you're purified and you're brought upward. But if you get trapped, you become of the what? Lowly. Let's see if we can find that in the Quran. Okay? Lowly. Where he said, Iblis, you are of the lowly. All right? Lowly people. Lowly. Low. All right, so you go from lotus to totus. Remember, if you got the book Out of the Darkness, I said that in there. From lotus to totus. So why would I say totus? Why would I bring up Toto? Who remembers Toto from the Wizard of Oz? Remember this guy? I swear he keep getting lighter and lighter as they go. You know, he was black. You couldn't even see the nigga. He was black. But they gonna make him lighter and lighter like Martin Luther King, I guess, as we go. But Toto. Remember? Okay, so what was Toto's big goal or big thing that he did in the end? He pulled the lid back, or he pulled back the curtain and showed you the facade. Are you with me? Apocalypse. Apocalypse. To pull the lid off of something. Okay, so if you would talk to Hillel, if you would talk to hell, or hell, go into the lower worlds and keep everything in the dark. Or if you would talk to hell, meaning to what? Fall or hurl forcefully. They'll say worship also. But if you go into hell, meaning fall, you'll find the word fall, or nephel. To hail from something is to actually, what? Fall. But what the first thing they ask you? Brother, where you hail from? Where you hail from, brother? You understand? And the more you go into the light, you'll realize the error in that question. But it's not an error. If you're in alignment with that program, it's not an error. But for somebody who's risen up, we don't hail anymore. You understand? We might have had to hail or kneel to come through our Omi, our mother. We put our crowns down to the ground to be rebirthed. And we were born into a world of sin, Zuin, which means sin, sinner. The world of the moon, sin. All right, let's type it in. Sumeria. The god of the moon. What is sin? You were born into a world of sin. You were born into a world that was run by the moon. Okay. All right. So you were born into a world ran by the moon. You have Allah, illallah. All right. Appearing with the Islamic symbol of the moon. You have all these Baphomet teachers out here talking about go to the moon. You got Brother Panic, which is just another way to say pan. Literally, if you go and look up the history of the word panic, you'll get the word pan. All right. And you know who Pan is. Pan and Baphomet are the same beings. These are the goats. Well, what do you think I'm here to do? A part of what I'm here to do is right here in this picture, hidden. You see that sword right there? That's called the Sword of Resolute. All right. Where you will find the word Faise L. And what does it mean? Resolute sword. Well, what would the sword be used for? To separate. Separate who? The sheep from the goats. And who are the goats? Pan, Baphomet, Azazel. If you research Yom Kippur, we're separating you. And there's nothing you can do, because once this amount of truth comes out, there's nothing you can do. You want to know what's so interesting? And if I gave a fuck, it would be disheartening, but I don't. A lot of brothers or elders who are even coming from the Sabian community now, they're speaking out against me. You understand? Instead of, they'll go to this expense of, or to the extent of posting and saying that I'm paying for views, or I'm paying for marketing, and all of this is about money. I haven't spent a single dime on marketing. And if you go and look at what you would even be able to do, because I do have a professional page, but if you go and look at how many views you would get from doing a $1,000 campaign, you barely touching 100,000 views. This ain't the same game. And it is fucked up, but I'm telling you that this is how you know. Because how could you hear me speaking and think that I was standing on anything other than right knowledge or the truth or walking with Malachi? How could you hear me speak and turn away from me? How could you hear the youth coming up in his 24th year, a very important year, if you know, and explaining all of this, and you turn away from him? Because you are of the same goats that you claim you want to separate. You ain't doing anything but regurgitate it. You don't know what it means to separate the Sabbat from the lamb. Because right now, Sabbat or Wu Sabbat has these people who were claiming that they were enlightened and ready on rest right there on the bed. You can't move at this moment until the time has what? Returned, which is why the name of this live was what? The return of Nuwapu, the golden age. That has to be revitalized or brought back to life. So you see Faise One, and then you have one. All right, at the end, Faise One. Forever in inspiration, seeking eternity. Omari never ends. Let me see if I can pull it up for you from my book. I know I have some screenshots of my book in here. I'll pull it up from you from my book, Out of the Darkness, where it explains it. Forever and inspiration, seeking eternity. Omari never ends. And if you think I'm making that up, just go to YouTube, Faise One Productions, go all the way to the end, scroll, and you will hear me say it in all these different videos. Forever and inspiration, seeking eternity. Omari never ends. So what would be Allah? We have the understanding of where the moon is, a deception, okay, that's already come. The double crosses, that's already been here. You can try to flip it around all you want to flip it around. It's still the nice Templar emblem. I know what I'm looking at. The moon, the bed, look him and what she came through with, all of the rock stars, Susie Sue, she wants to make a comeback, Travis Scott, which means to traverse the crossover. All right, says, yo, we're going to do a show in Egypt, Utopia, the perfection of the self, or the purifying of the self, over to the nine. Who is Allah? What is the source? What is the source? What is the source? What is the name that I'm coming in? Something that, if you read this further, you'll say what? They turn their face to the Lord. And then when hold on, make sure I got time. All right, we got a little time to wrap it up. On that day, all will end up before the Lord. Huh? All then will be informed of what they have sent forth and left behind. Okay, we read that. Do not rush your tongue. We read that. The fleeting world, the moon world, and neglect the hereafter. I told you as soon as the NOI came out with hereafter, we should have helped them. You neglected them. On that day, some faces will be bright. What does this mean? On that day, some faces will be bright, looking at their Lord. Walk right up to the sun, facing the rising sun. Are you with me? And other faces will be gloomy, moony, doomy, anticipating something devastating to befall them. But no, beware of the day when the soul reaches the collarbone as it leaves. And it will be said, is there any healer who can save this life? And the dying person realizes it is their time to depart. And then their feet are tied together in a shroud. On that day, they will be driven to your Lord alone. This denier neither believed nor prayed. but persisted in denial and turned away. Then went to their own people walking boastfully. Woe to you and more woe. Again, woe to you and even more woe. Do people think they will be left without purpose? Were they not once a sperm drop emitted? Then they became a clinging blood of clot of blood. Then he developed and perfected their form, producing from it both sexes, male and female. Is such a creator unable to bring, listen, the dead back to life? The moon cycle back to the sun. Turn back to the sun. We said, don't forget the sun. Is what we tried. Ray salute. What is your solution? Ray. Which means as your sun is acting, you should be acting right now. And your sun is becoming brighter. You see it becoming brighter. Your sun is speeding up. You see it speeding up. Your sun is getting hotter. They're reporting that for you. What is the source? You can't beef with me. Whole nother frequency. Big G-O-D. What the fuck is a muck? Niggas be fake woke. Leave him snuggling. He undercover, then fuck it. We tucking him in. If it's up, then it's stuck. Nigga, fuck is you saying? Bird bitch is getting scrubbed. We ain't going back and forth about a duck. We ain't going back and forth. Better duck. Ashhadu alla ilaha illallah. We come in the name of the source. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We flipping niggas off the porch. Niggas in Paris. I'm talking about the Ye and J version. Boss so James Harden, but you think they the highest. We locking him up. He get caught with the smoke. Get your flame darkened. They shooting shot, but I aim for this fuck around, hit the same target back to back. He can only respond with subliminals. Can't even flex. I got bigger muscle, bitch. I'm packing like flat stomach. What am I talking about? He trying to diss me to blow up. I peep it. I can't respond, but I get at your people. You can't do anything. You can't get at the people or you can't respond. There's nothing you can do. Go watch the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still and say, what can we? There's nothing you can do. I know you can't respond. Simple because why? If you respond, you'll give too much light to me, sir. And that's for all of y'all. You know who I'm talking about because he know who I'm talking about. Same way you got your people in here listening. There's nothing you really can do. You understand? But this isn't nobody calling people names out to blow up on like just to call niggas out randomly. No, you were just one of the pillars that were being called forth. In the name of what? The source. But if you get caught with the smoke, you get your flame darkened. Meaning anybody who even think they're going to oppose this, there's nothing you're going to be able to do anyway. Because you're under the rulership or the judgment of something that's way more powerful than your governments, way more powerful than your little peoples that you got with you, way more powerful than the Satanists, way more powerful than the elite, and that is Shem. Shem, the sun. Okay? So when we come back here, we'll finish this one. We're going to go on a recess for a second so I can charge this phone up again. All right? We'll come back and I'll break down more to you. And I'm telling you, all of it comes around. You just remember what I said to you. We coming in the name of the source, though, so watch. Just pay attention. All right? And we speed up. I love y'all. I'll talk to y'all soon. If you want to support the source, there it goes at the bottom. But if you want to get them books, too, it's 9 books. All right? Send a donation, send your email, and I'll send it to you. We'll be back here in about an hour. Peace and love.